When I was 10 years old, I had a bike, and I hated the fucking thing. My dad gave it to me when I was 8, and for 2 years, I couldn't stand it. The gears were always rusted, the chain always jammed, and the paint was chipping off, and the brakes didn't work. I hated that bike, but I rode it everywhere. And I wish I could at least say that I enjoyed fixing it up, making it all nice and new, but I didn't. I hated that bike. When I was 10, the Game Boy Color came out, and every single kid I knew had one. They would sit together, playing their games, while I sat back and hated my parents for not getting me one. I used to always ride my shitty bike while my friends played with their Game Boys. I just hated watching them have fun while I couldn't. My family never had a lot of money. Sometimes my parents would even skip dinner just so I could have enough to eat. So, of course, when the Game Boy Color came out, we couldn't afford one. I was 10 and stupid, so I hated them because of it. Money got so tight that my dad had to give up smoking for a few months just so I wouldn't go hungry a single night. Those 7 months were filled with my dad screaming, my mom yelling, and me riding my bike in circles outside. After 7 months, my dad got a better paying job, and suddenly the cigarettes were back. A couple weeks before my birthday, I was riding my bike downtown, going someplace or another, when I decided to stop and look inside of a pawn shop for some spare parts for my bike. I looked for a few minutes through the store when I saw an old Game Boy Color. It was old and worn out. The screen was cracked, and the sign next to it said no sound. The man behind the counter saw me eyeing it and asked me if I wanted it. I told him, of course, and about how all of my friends had one, and about how my dad was too poor to buy me one, and yada yada yada. He asked me how much money I could spare, and I told him I had nothing. He asked me how much I could get from my parents, and I told him that they had no money to spare. He looked outside and saw my bike, and asked me how old it was. I told him it was my dad's when he was a kid, so it was pretty old. The guy sighed and told me he'd give me the Game Boy and a free game for the bike. He said the Game Boy was only collecting dust anyways, and he could use the bike for spare parts. Obviously, I quickly said yes, and I walked home playing Pokemon Yellow. I was so overwhelmed by how fun the game was. I felt like I could play it for hours just to beat the game. I eventually got back to my small house, my dad sitting on the porch, smoking, of course. He asked me a lot of questions. Why are you walking? Where's the bike? What's that? Where do you get it? And he went on until finally was able to answer him. I told him about the pawn shop and about how I traded the bike for this Game Boy. In my entire life, my father has never hit me or my mother. But that day, I was scared. I was actually scared of my father for the first time. The look of anger and rage in his eyes petrified me, but it only lasted for several seconds. He sat back down in his chair and started crying. Honest to God, I don't remember much else from that night, but I do remember my father coming into my room, sitting on the edge of my bed. He sat there for a while, and eventually asked me to shut the game off for a minute. And you know what I did? I kept fucking playing. My dad asked me to shut off a fucking Game Boy for 2 minutes so he could talk to me, and I didn't. I told him that I could listen to him and play at the same time, and all he did was sit there, watching me. After a while, he just said he loved me and left. I was too focused. I didn't even say I loved him too. A few months ago, I got a call from my mom. Dad was sick and dying. I drove a couple of hours to my hometown and got there 6 hours after he died. I was sad, but I didn't cry. We went through typical and boring procedures. We buried him, read his will, etc. He left everything he owned to my mother. Everything except for one thing. He left me a footlocker that he had always kept underneath his bed. Of course, I picked up the footlocker and drove the few hours back to my apartment. The locker sat in the trunk of my car for 3 fucking weeks before I remembered about it and decided to open it up. I was hoping for at least something cool, like a pistol or some cash for my rent. I found only 2 things inside of that footlocker. I found a large, leather-bound journal and an unopened Game Boy Color box. The reality of what I found didn't hit me that hard at first. I decided I could at least open the journal and see what he wrote in it. On the very first page, it was my 8-year-old dad writing about his brand new bike and his brand new journal. His grandfather had given them to him for his 8th birthday. I never knew anything about my dad's childhood, mostly because I never even bothered to wonder or care. But I couldn't stop reading that fucking journal. I read about my dad's life like no one had before. His dad, my grandfather, was always drunk and hit my dad every chance he got. I read page after page of my dad recalling how his dad would hit him and kick him and knock him around, how he would ridicule him for every single thing he did wrong. On one page, my dad had written something and underlined and circled it many times. He even wrote, "Never forget," next to those words. Never hurt the people you love. I read how my dad had to get a job when he was just 12 to help support his family. I must have sat there for hours reading that journal. The one thing that made my heart ache was his bike. His bike that he gave to me. His bike that was his only friend. His bike that carried him away from his dad. His bike that helped him support his family. His fucking bike that I threw away like garbage. My dad knocked up his girlfriend in high school and married her soon after. A couple of months later, they had me. And on the day that I was born, my dad only wrote 1 sentence in his journal. My name. My name and the words, "Never ever forget." On my 8th birthday, my dad wrote down the following. Anon's 8 today. Finally decided to give him my old bike. I know he'll love it just like I did. And when I was 10, my dad started writing about how much I was asking for a Game Boy. He kept on writing down ideas to make money, only to cross them out or erase them. On one page he wrote, "No more smoking until Anon has his game." The next pages were mostly him writing down angry things, but every so often, I'd turn a page and find my name circled and underlined to remind himself why he was doing this. Finally, on one page he said he finally had enough money and bought me the Game Boy Color I was asking for. He wrote down a memo to remind himself to buy more games before my birthday. On the day that I traded his bike, he only wrote down 1 sentence. Never hurt the people you love. And I couldn't read anymore. I sat there and I cried. For the first time in my adult life, I cried. Hey guys, it's Dovahbruh. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Just wanted to let you guys know a quick little update and go over some things. So as for the car situation, the insurance has actually found the guy who hit me at fault and all of that has been resolved. I'm getting payment for my car and my property damage along with loss of use and everything. However, I'd like to go ahead and just take this part of the video to go ahead and thank everybody who wanted to donate to my GoFundMe. I didn't think I was going to hit the goal at all or even get really that much attention, but a lot of people actually pulled through and gave me a good amount of money, and I really appreciate that from everybody who donated. So I just wanted to take this little segment of the video to go ahead and make a special thanks to everyone who donated individually. Thank you to Jacob Varon, I'm not sure how to say that, Gavin Hinshaw, Stephen Langston, Maxwell Little, maybe Lytle, not sure. Thanks for the comments as well, guys. Michael Sander, I got a $30 from Anonymous, don't know who that was, but if you're watching this video, thank you. Jonathan McGlone, Bob Hart, $5 from Anonymous, thank you very much for that one. I have no idea how to pronounce this name, I'm probably going to butcher it. Elizar Garza. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but thank you nonetheless. And then we have a $100 donation from Liam Squire. Thank you very much, Liam Squire, for the $100 donation. That's crazy. Wasn't expecting that from anybody. Another $10 from an anonymous user, so thank you for that one as well. $10 from Lawrence May, and then a $10 from Simon Freiberger. So thank you all so much for the donations. It really helped out. My goal was set at $500, and it's sitting at $520 right now. So thank you guys so much for helping me out with that. It just kind of kept me afloat and helped me get through and everything. And I'd like to apologize for like the break between the last video and this video. I was very sick. I was very sick when I made that last video, so I had to take a little bit to recover and get my voice back. I couldn't record like a story when I was sick or whatever. But yeah, as for the car situation, my stitches have fully healed up. I got them taken out the other day. I'm fine. I'm going to treatment now, and I'm getting treatment through a lien through my lawyer, getting all that stuff like physical therapy, rehab for my shoulder and knee and stuff, all that good stuff, and that's all through my lawyer. And the insurance is going to have to pay for that as well. But yes, so they did find the other driver at fault, not me, so I am getting payment for my property damage. I got loss of use payment as well. So overall, everything turned out pretty okay. Now I'm just back on the car hunt, so if anybody has any pretty nice cars chilling around the Arizona area, go ahead and let me know. Go ahead and drop me a comment or shoot me a PM. I am looking for cars still. If anyone has a really nice G35, I haven't had very good luck finding any of those. So yeah, that's really it, guys. Just thank you guys so much for all the support and everything. I appreciate all of it. Thank you guys for watching and commenting, subscribing. Thank you for all the get well wishes. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for everyone who checked on me and made sure I was okay and reached out to talk to me and just wanted to have a conversation. And thank you to everyone who donated to my GoFundMe. I really, really do appreciate it, guys. And we will be back with videos kind of at a somewhat regular pace. I'm still trying to figure out the whole car thing and job thing, but for now I will be putting up videos at least once every week, just like it used to be in the old days. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and thank you all for sticking around and listening and watching. Thank you guys for everything. This has been Dovahbruh, and I'll see you guys in the next one.